and welcome to the World's Overrun broadcast. With me tonight is Christopher Hirschberger and Doug Bowman. Our associates who are not with us tonight are Sebastian Murphy Bosky and James McCann. And I don't why am I forgetting?
Running the tech side of it though.
He's running tech.
He's with us, but not.
So Sebastian, what is Sebastian's last name?
Duran,
that's what it is. I was thinking of something else. Anyway, yeah, sorry for that clumsy intro, but we're going to go over our stuff tonight. Yeah. We're going to go over some stuff tonight. We're going to talk about the models that we got going. And I just wanted to welcome everybody to the stream. If you want to put comments in the chat section for our stream and engage with us, we're more than happy to talk to you about all of that stuff. But tonight, we're going to start off with some slideshows of some of our dinosaurs.
Yay, dinosaurs.
Yay, dinosaurs.
Yay, dinosaurs.
We got two, let's see.
I'm not sure where they're going to go up. So while they're coming up, okay, here we go. Forgive us, we're having a little bit of technical difficulty.
I think we're good.
Yeah, we're good. So first up is our Triceratops. Christopher sculpted this guy.
Yep.
Yeah, I love this pose.
Yeah.
There's our pack animal. There's our pterosaur.
The Quetzalcoatlus.
Yep. Doug did this one. This one's completely armored.
Yep.
In these photos, there's the neutral or the default.
Default with mouth open.
Yeah. So what these are the dinosaurs and or prehistoric animals from our beast of burden pack. The ankylosaur covered in blades and armor. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, there he is with the axe tail and that nice high-rise saddle. And then we go into the Apatosaurus. He's a big boy.
He's big. Oh, there's a Pachycephalosaurus.
Yep.
Well, and just like everything else with dinosaurs, it's hard to put gear on them and not feel like Dinotopia. So,
yeah.
Dinotopia is definitely an influence, but it is not the only influence. In fact, one of the very first dinosaur books I ever read about was a time-traveling Volkswagen Bug.
What?
It's really old. It dates me.
I remember the old Land of the Lost TV series stuff.
That too.
Those.
Yep.
Yeah, those were where they fell through the crack into the center of the earth, kind of thing.
Here's our animals from the period of the Ice Age.
Yeah, here's one of the cool ones that Sebastian did. He actually did this one also. Very cool Stegosaurus with armor. Beforehand was a Sabertooth.
Hey, look, it's Terrorbird.
Terrorbird with armor, and Terrorbird in default or neutral.
Terrorbird with a saddle.
A lot of people are
kind of like a chocobo.
Yeah. Yeah, here's the armor on the Triceratops, and he looks real menacing when he's in that attack.
Man, that guy's gonna mess some stuff up.
I love that one.
Yep. I think we're all the way back around to the start of that slideshow there.
Yeah.
Yep. Now it's just the three of us.
All right.
Yeah, it's just the three of us. Yeah. Those are.
So we actually we're going to show it. We're going to show it later tonight, but we actually have at least one new test print for the Terrorbird. We don't have to show it just yet, but we will show that a little bit. What I would like to show, if it's possible, is the land train.
Well, conveniently enough, I have it sitting right here behind me.
Printed.
I want you to grab me both the engine and the barrel cart, the barrel one if you can. And while you're doing that, Ian asked if we're going to have Dino Riders. Ian, yes, we're going to be working on Dino Riders. We're just not. We don't have anything to show yet, and we really like to have all of our ducks in a row before we do Dino Riders. So we can say that it's a soft announcement right now, but we are going to be doing those.
Yes.
So these are some of the carts that we have. When we're done with the slideshow, I'm going to have Doug show you the engine and this particular barrel cart because it's probably one of the sexiest ones that we have going on. Now, most of these carts come in a couple of different forms. We did have somebody ask us if the wheels move, and we made it so that the wheels are static for two reasons. One, when you're playing on a table, you really don't want things sliding off the table. And for two, it makes it easier to print. It's less engineering on our part.
However, if you are industrious, you can potentially drill these things out and make them roll.
Yeah, there is a pin, there is an axle available, and you could possibly drill it out. We don't have no.
We were discussing today what would be necessary to make them rollable, and yeah.
But yeah, we were mostly looking at how we would use these in game. So you can see up front, the engine is kind of like a dwarven land train engine. Doug's holding it up. We'll take a closer look at that with Doug here when we're done with the slideshow. But we do have barrel carts because, you know, what dwarf doesn't want to move beer? This is the support cart for firing on or for protecting the vehicle as it goes through hostile terrain. Basically,
there's also two other versions of the troop cart, which I do not have the test prints. Oh, did I lose everybody?
Nope, no, we're just going to have you show the engine.
Having you show the engine.
Yeah, we do have two other versions of the troop cart. The last one I did, though, I've got to get them printed up still. But this is the engine for the land train.
And where do the characters go on this?
Well, conveniently, I got some characters. You can have characters, standing back here, shoveling the coal, dumping the coal in there. And you can also put a character up front here to drive it.
Nice. And it drives, the way we talked about driving this thing, since it's a land train and not a track train, it actually drives a lot like an old school tank where you have push rods for the left and right tracks. So
the driver's got
illustrates that for us.
A control strip. Yes, and this prints completely supportless.
Now, that's roughly how many pieces? I don't recall. It's quite a few. Was it in the 20 pieces or was it lower than 20 pieces?
I can count them if we wanted to. Because we made it supportless. It did require, a few extra cuts that if we were having supports in there, they would be, that. But it's maybe about 20 pieces.
Do you want to tell us anything special about this? This was one of the earliest pieces you made for us when you started.
Yeah, this was one of the early pieces that I made for Worlds Overrun, and I am floored by this thing. I was kind of inspired by a lot of steampunk type things. My layer settings on this one were 0.2.
So it's pretty common with us. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I tend to, for pretty much all of my test prints, I go with a 0.2 layer setting, just because I want to make sure it works well at a quicker speed before I then go and print it with anything at a lower layer height, because I'd rather get it off the printer and testing the next thing. But yeah, this one was a lot of fun to make. It took a good bit of engineering to figure out how to get the tracks with the push rods cut up properly and how to make it so that I'd be able to print supportless. But I'm really proud that this thing, with the extra detail, you got, that detail in there.
Yep, you got the firebox and the valves and all sorts of little controls in there.
All the fun stuff to paint.
All the fun stuff. Printed out great. Totally.
Now, I want to ask Chris about this train. Chris, if you were to mod this train, what would be something that you would want to see done to it?
For that particular piece, the first couple of things I would do is I would probably drill out the top on that and the backing behind the little coal pit, and I would probably rig LEDs in there so that I could set them to glow, and then probably do some kind of smoke effect off the top, just because I'm over the top like that.
You know what? If you wanted to actually add an LED in there, it would not take too terribly much modification because the cut for the back portion kind of runs right about here, and the fire pit is in there.
That piece is pretty close.
You just have to drill it out from behind. Oh, and these are part of our social goals. Share them. Tell your friends.
Tell
your friends.
You know what? I already told you guys how social goals work, but because Chris can be a little bit more succinct than I can. Chris, can you tell people how social goals work?
With all of our social goals, basically likes, shares, getting all of those things, commenting on them, any of those things would be ideal for all of that. Basic, your standard social stuff, like all your typical YouTube stuff, ring the bell, do that kind of thing. With this stuff, it helps us significantly if you share it, if you like it, and if you comment on it, because that gets it to pop up in more people's feeds more often, and it also makes them stay there longer. Especially if we've got the community engaged in talking about it. It also gives us important feedback as far as what you guys are looking for and what you would like done to these kind of things, because we ultimately want to make super cool stuff, but we want to make super cool stuff that everybody gets to enjoy printing. And then, of course, share it on all of our platforms.
Use share it on all of the platforms.
Instagram. Tell it on the mountain if you have to.
if anybody also, we know that the people that are watching are our backers. They're our friends. They're our associates. They're our peers. If you know anybody that's into gaming that would like this stuff, especially somebody who might be an influencer who you think we should talk to, please, let them know about us. Let them know that we're trying to grow our brand. We're trying to get more product out there that is going to impress people and make people want to have a more complex and elevated product for their gaming. We're more than happy to talk to just about anybody about the product that we're putting out. We're going to talk more about this kind of stuff moving through tonight's stream, but if you know people that would like to see the stream live too, we're going to show some more stuff, some more cool stuff. Let them know what we're streaming right now, because this is what we're here for. We're here to engage the community, share our thoughts, share our designs, let you guys have some sort of insight as to what Worlds Overrun is all about and why it's important, to do this stuff, because we want to make better products and we want to be more involved with, who's playing what with our products. So, because I believe, Doug, for instance, he's a big, what is it, Malifaux?
Play a lot of Malifaux. I'm the Houston henchman for that.
And we're already talking about how some of our terrain works really, really nicely with Malifaux and how we might add modifications or adjustments to them to even give that some more flavor for, his personal gaming group and so on. So, Chris, you have a plug that you were going to put up tonight about...
Oh, yes. We're going to be plugging some of our upcoming WOR swag. We are going to have a lot of some of the art pieces from this going on to various different substrates. At this point, definitely t-shirts and coffee mugs and whatnot. We're going to be doing a lot of that kind of stuff. We've also got a little bit of some rebranding stuff that's coming down the pipe. It's going to be some super awesome stuff that we'll be showing you guys soon. We've got to go through a couple more iterations, but we're almost there. So I just kind of wanted to plug the fact that a lot of the pretty art that you're seeing is going to be usable in a lot of other ways. There's particular things people are interested in. If you want to see it on a playmat, if you want to see it on a table spread, we are open to suggestions in that department.
We're already talking about also, I think it's the Sabretooth and some of the other illustrative renders being used as t-shirts, different types of banners people might want to have. anything graphical that helps people express their love for what we're doing, or also just for gaming in general. That's something that we're going to be for pursuing with Worlds Overrun.
Yeah.
Do we want to move on to the community engagement and then? Yeah,
is the critters.
So I'm gonna start off, and I'm gonna let the other guys chime in here in just a minute. But we were talking about community engagement, and shortly after we launched the Kickstarter, we had a lot of commentary about, I would like to see this, and I need one of these, and so on and so forth. So we have decided to create a six asset expansion, creature expansion, consisting of two separate sets. Yep, two sets. And we've already started working on one of the models. I've been asked not to show it because we're right in the beginning of it. But the Spinosaurus is one of them. We're also going to do our version of a T-Rex. And I say our version, we're going for that more hyper-real style. Worlds Overrun is more about the hyper-real style.
I was going to say, imagine more, your classical T-Rex is more along the lines of what we're trying to do here, because there are an awful lot of people that have asked specifically for that one.
Right.
And one of the things that we are doing, because it was what we kind of set, what I feel like sets our models apart, is the gear. We're slapping some gear on these guys. You want a battle T-Rex?
Oh yeah,
you're getting a battle T-Rex.
So here, just to reiterate on that, it's all fun and games to play 5e or any of the other games when you use a dinosaur. But a dinosaur can be just as complex as any natural animal that we're familiar with. I mean, we've all seen people riding ostriches and or wrestling crocodiles because, Florida man. And hijacking or sticking people up with alligators for that matter, because Florida man.
Florida man does some crazy stuff, dude.
But, Dinotopia may have been one of the earliest iterations of, and we are referencing this because somebody else brought it up, maybe one of the earliest references of dinosaurs that interact with human beings, and of course fantasy and sci-fi and dino punk, if you will.
Ooh, I like that term.
Is
it's kind of a nice term there, isn't it?
Dino punk.
Dino punk.
Just kind of rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
We're trying to say that, because somebody else has done it doesn't mean that we can't do it as well. We're trying to also say we want to fill a little bit of that niche with the product that we're putting out. Yeah. If we can give you an animal that has got a battle pose and a transport pose and a pack animal pose, and I say pose, I'm really talking about the gear, it gives the character more value. It gives the animal or the creature more value to our consumers and our players. That's something else that I want to bring up. Although we haven't really listed all the animals that we want to do yet, we do want to talk more about that. We actually have gone and started developing and or researching stats sheets. Primarily, we're looking at 5e, but I'm pretty sure most intelligent EMs will be able to convert a 5e sheet to other games, with some modifications, of course. But we are making sheets.
Several other games and stuff that James has linked up as far as different places that we can, or different games that use dinosaurs and their current existing stat sheets and stuff. But we will be doing a custom set of stat sheets that go along with a lot of this stuff that we're already doing.
And you know what?
A teaser work in progress. There was James posted a teaser work in progress of the Terrorbird sheet a day or two ago.
And that reminds me, and I completely forgot, and I'm a little embarrassed about this because we do need to mention our team members that are not here.
We did.
I made a mistake. I forgot.
You did. You forgot one.
I forgot our D&D specialist, Lewanika Miller, who helps us with our stat sheets and is probably one of the single best dungeon masters I've ever worked with. He actually works very hand in hand with us when developing product that needs to be playable within the community. He's also a really good friend of mine. I'm hoping he's listening because I'm sorry I forgot you. It's just there's a lot going on. There's too much in my head right now. But he actually helped us with the original test bed for our earliest campaign project, which was Epic Encounters, which we will bring that back at some point. But right now, we've got some other things on our plate. But he helps us to develop stat sheets that are appropriate for 5e currently. And I think James is going to bring up.
Hey, look at that!
Yeah, here's our work in progress currently of what the starting point of one of our pages is going to look like. Of course, with our animals in there and our branding and that kind of stuff. But very easy to read, very, very reminiscent of your standard D&D style stat sheet. So,
yeah, and it's got some of Chris's really great artwork on there.
I think he does.
These amazing paint overs for the artwork for all of the different animals, and then he was talking about that we're going to be putting on T-shirts eventually, and that's what we're putting on there. Those
some
paint overs. I'm psyched for those because those are so awesome.
Some of them are already set up for T-shirts, and we've been experimenting, but they're not ready for purchase yet. So they're coming very quickly.
The quality is there too. We've got to do some quality control and make sure that we've got the right stuff sourced because we don't want you guys to get terrible products.
So what are these new animals?
Yeah, let's go back through the list. So we've got 2 packs listed.
We've got the hunting pack.
The hunting pack is the Spinosaurus, which is a big animal. The T-Rex. And the Utah Raptor, which is a type of Velociraptor, but it is the big one.
Big one, like what's in the movies for Jurassic Park, because the actual Velociraptor is about the size of a turkey, and you can't ride that.
It's a murder turkey. It could hurt you, but you can't ride it. People want raptors they can ride.
Exactly.
James put it best. I want animals that are going to make you dinner, not the other way around.
Now, our second pack here is also super cool. And we've got a herbivore herd, which is going to consist of a battle mammoth, a ground sloth, and an Amargasaurus, I believe, if I'm saying that right.
Yeah, the Amargasaurus is a little bit weird. It is a smaller sauropod with a set of spines with webbing between them running down the back. It's got a set of spines. It almost looks like a sauropod with a mohawk.
Yeah, it looks like it's got like a double mohawk going on. It's very interesting, and they are significantly tinier than your standard sauropod. So it's probably closer in the range of our juvenile size Brontosaurus, if not smaller.
Oh, it's much smaller. It's closer to it's closer to the size. It's longer than by a significant amount, but it's in height. It's smaller. It's closer in relationship to the Indian elephant. So we're talking about 12 feet of the shoulder at the absolute most.
So we did want to make sure we mentioned that. So these we're making them due to community request. That this was not part of the original campaign. These are going to be add-ons that they're going to come after we deliver everything. So everything that we have promised in the Kickstarter is going to deliver first, and then these are going to come out.
Roughly 60 days later.
60 or less days to go ahead and get all 6 of these assets together and ready for you guys, because we want to deliver them at the highest quality possible like we have with the rest of these. So we're just going to need a little bit of time. And since this was a community-inspired idea for this and not part of our original thing, we're basically having to start from scratch for all of these guys. So give us a little bit of production time, and we will definitely present you with something that you will be very impressed with.
We heard your requests and want to deliver them as awesome as everything else.
Just so you guys know, I want to read the note off of my page here so that we're absolutely clear about this. These sets will come much later than the Kickstarter. We estimate 60 days or less, but you will be able to add them to your pledge in the Pledge Manager after the Kickstarter is complete. The price has not been set, okay? This is all variable. It's going to be part of the Pledge Manager. We will have either concept art or early versions of the sculpt around the end of the Kickstarter, because I've already started working on some of them.
Mhm.
But I
Hey,
wanted to
look at
read
that.
that specifically because those are the words that we agreed upon for this content, and I don't want anybody being confused about this.
Someone wants to see some prints. What
Well,
kind of prints do you want to see?
I think we've got 2 or 3. Did we print the what's it called?
I know we've got a
That's not a
bird.
print.
Oh,
That's
horrible! That's somebody's desktop.
That
You're
is
gonna
a
make
death.
me cry.
oh, look at that. Oh, okay,
Oh.
that's the terror bird.
So we got the terror bird up. Did we
I
ever
got that off
print
my
the saber tooth?
printer this morning.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did we ever print the saber tooth?
No, I don't have the files for that one yet.
I didn't know if Sebastian had photographed printed that.
I don't know if he printed it or not.
Look at that little bit of primer.
There's the terror bird with a zenithal highlight on him, looking all hot and stuff.
Yeah, I finished up priming him a few minutes before we went live, and I'm psyched with how he turned out.
And that's how that works. Ooh, look!
Oh,
There's
look at that, the Pachycephalosaurus.
Yep.
No, a lot of people have been asking us if these are going to come pre-supported. Yes, they're going to come pre-supported. Anybody not putting out pre-supported models today, well, shame on them. We won't mention anybody. Our models
tweaking the supports to make sure that they are going to support the model entirely, but also be reasonable to remove. So we're going to anything that we are putting out pre-supported. You know, we've got a few different printers that I've been using my Anycubic Photon. As you can see, I'm using the green transparent resin. And so, the Terror Bird, at this point, yeah, it's got supports from hell. It was, a terror to take apart and do. It still turned out great. We just want to tweak it a little bit to just make sure that the supports are going to be easy to remove.
Yeah, we don't want you guys to have as much of a headache with it as we did, because that's why we do the prints first. That's why we test them out.
But even with that, I'm psyched to put some paint on this guy.
Yeah,
we're currently working on a new list of optimized support parameters. James and I and the rest of the team have been talking about it. We're also experimenting with a new slicer. We're not going to get into that.
There's a few reasons that the transparent resin is used. One of them is that the transparent resin does allow the light to pass through more easily, and that's why it cures better. When you have more opaque stuff in there, it can cause fails. It's harder to see in the end result until you get a base coat on it, as far as how much detail actually went through to us until we've got paint on it. But for creation reasons, that's typically why.
So the reason I use the transparent resin, a couple reasons why. So I have an my SLA printer. I have an Anycubic Photon, and generally it ships with Anycubic transparent green resin. My thoughts on it is that the company is going to ship the resin that they think is going to work best with their product. So that's why I go with that one as my go-to. I'm playing around with a couple other resins right now, but I've been getting phenomenal results with the Anycubic Green, and so I haven't seen a reason to switch. Also, I've only got the one resin vat myself, and swapping between multiple colors of resins is kind of a pain in the butt.
Actually, I've got something here, not associated with the project, but we did because we do other models. James printed this in a white resin, and I say white; it's translucent. This is very much light will pass into this and pass out of this. But we have been really happy with this resin as well. I will say this: when a resin, what we've experienced is when a resin is too translucent or too transparent or too rigidly opaque, the two things that seem to happen is a lot of light bleed, causing either causing light bleed, or
overexposure is the common term used in it.
Yeah. where I was going with that is that there seems to be somewhere in the middle where the material is got a little bit of pass through, and there's a spectrum where it seems to work really, really well. And it all depends on the part too. This is a larger part. Support us on Patreon. Yes, we'll talk more about this on Patreon. We may be doing some more video related stuff where we talk about how our models are made, that sort of things for those people that are participating. We've been talking about that for a while. We're not there yet, but we will talk about things like this. We'll talk about process. But yeah, the green is really, really, really good. And this new stuff that we've been exercising our machine with is exceptionally good too. I really love the quality of the part, but every printer is a little different. In fact, I believe Sebastian has the same resin. Does he have the same resin or a different printer than you?
He's got an Albu Mars. Oh no, he's got an EPAX, I think.
Okay, so he had a different printer.
Printer. He's been using a gray resin.
Right.
One of the other reasons I use the Anycubic green is that I can actually get it with, because I live in Houston and there is a distribution center here for Amazon. I can actually get Anycubic green within 24 hours of ordering it. So if I run out, I can get it restocked really quickly. It's not the same with some of the other resins. So it's straight up a convenience thing a lot of the time. And when it comes to using the resins, you got to do exposure tests and, try out a couple things. And I've got the Anycubic green tuned really, really well. So because I like it, I haven't branched out, and I probably should, but I like my Anycubic green.
Well, that's what I was going to get on about. Sebastian and I, when we first started talking about some test prints, special thanks to Kevin Rank, Greg Janung, and Danny Herrero for all their support and helping us out in the community. We really appreciate those guys doing everything they can to help us with our project and to always be there to counsel us when we have a question about things. We do not work in a vacuum, okay? So I do want to say something. Hey, Gilbert Mondragon, thanks, man. Thanks for jumping in. Do me a favor. Can you show him, since he's here for a moment, can you show him the Terror Bird while I talk about this other thing? So this is the Terror Bird that we just test printed with a little bit of Zinthal lighting with the Stynel Res primer. Stynel Res primer. Doug is using the three-pack black, white, and gray. The model was sculpted by me, and Doug was nice enough to 3D print it or test print it. We just got this off the printer a couple of hours ago.
And I primed it up about 5 minutes before the stream.
But yeah, back to what I was saying, when Sebastian and I started talking about prints, he did a test print, and we found out that he was getting some overbake. Basically, the printer was putting too much light into each layer, and we were getting, instead of a 90-degree transition for parts, we were getting a soft transition, and it was filling in some gaps. We just had to take a second off of his layer print time. So Ian, the resin matters, but also the light matters. Some of the most people are using, I think, LED now.
It's UV. I mean, it's whatever it comes in your printer.
Right. It's whatever comes in your printer. But if your intensity is too much for the resin you're using, you're going to have to back it off. And there are light tests out there. In fact, Doug and I were talking about them about a month ago. And you really should be, just like leveling your FDM printer, you should be running a light test. And you should probably run a light test at least every 500 to 1,000 hours on your printer. UV LED.
Depending on what resin printer you've got, I know there's a Facebook group for the Anycubic Photon where I've gotten a lot of really, really great recommendations for that one. I'm assuming there's one for EPAX and for all the other ones, but that's where I found the specific the specific test for the Anycubic because it runs a G code which hacks the firmware to turn off the peel. So then it just zaps it to find, and it prints this little basically a scorecard that shows you, this area has been exposed for 1 second, this area has been exposed for 2 seconds, 3, etc., to help then find which, spot for that resin and your printer is going to print the best. And it ends up, it can change from printer to printer. It can change from resin to resin. I run one of those anytime I get a new bottle of resin. With the green, it really has not varied. But if it's a different type of resin, I've had a difference of 2 seconds between running it with the green and running it with like the yellow or the clear sometimes. So it really does matter to get your resins tuned properly, to get as much detail out as you can.
Can we put up the slides again? And I do want to mention that about resin. If you get a second, James, can you put up the slides again? Resin, now I started out doing molding and casting with different types of resin. Resin is made in batches and it has a shelf life. And sometimes it ends up in a warehouse and that shelf life is being eaten up, waiting for the consumer to purchase it and then use it. Testing your resin is pretty mandatory. Not to mention that if you get bad resin that's had water exposure to resin can directly affect your resin. In fact, that's how the earliest version of foam for like your couch or your furniture was invented. It was an early version of resin being exposed to water.
Random information from Eric.
Well, I know a lot about this because of the chemistry and the things that I've had to learn to do this kind of stuff. My point to you is this. Test your resin. I'm not saying that the developers or the manufacturers are trying to take advantage of you, but there are going to be resellers and wholesalers who may purchase a stock of resin, and if it sits in a warehouse for too long and it's not stored properly, the longer that time is that it's sitting around, it is starting to degrade, and its efficiency may not be what you're looking for when you're printing. Thankfully, the consumption of resin in 3D printing seems to be pretty consistent and pretty aggressive, so I haven't really come across bad or aged resin like I did when we were doing molding and casting.
Honestly, when it comes to, because of the way the world is at the moment with people being in lockdown, a lot of resins have been kind of hard to order for a little while. And so that's one of the reasons I've been going with the Yeti Cubic Green, is I can get it consistently, and I'm getting it. The turnover on it is rapid enough that I know it hasn't been sitting on the shelf for a long time.
Yeah, not to mention that each developer is developing new resins. In fact, one of the resins that James and I are using, that white resin, I believe that's a third-party developer that James wanted to try, and we've had a lot of great results with it. So the printers that James put this up just a minute ago, but the printers that we have in our shop in Virginia are the Photon, the Mars, the 3D Max, the Frozen Sonic Mini, and several others are coming. We're actually looking at 2 large-scale printers because we are getting large jobs that we're not able to handle easily on the smaller printers. So we're trying to be able to accommodate those. I doubt we're going to be doing reviews on printers. There's a lot of people already doing that stuff, but you never know what's going to happen in the future. So
that review that Kevin did of the Saturn, that makes me want one of those right now.
Yeah. Kevin's using that printer for one of our jobs actually, and it is a very, very powerful printer. I'm also really curious about one of the ones that we're looking at is also the Frozen Transform, because it is a large bed printer and it'll accommodate some of our statue pieces that we're talking about doing. So yeah, there's some really great stuff on the horizon, both for the consumer and the commercial end, and even for the prosumer. If you've got the money to throw around at printers like that. But yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff happening.
We live in this is an exciting time. I mean, like legitimately. So if you ever want to know what technology is really going to take off, take a new technology, show it to me. If I say, oh, no, we're never going to need that, or no, that's not going to be ready for any time soon, you need to invest in that technology immediately, because I'm always wrong on those things. Why would I need, an iPod? I've got a CD player that can play, MP3s off of a compact disc. Why would I need an iPhone? My BlackBerry works just fine.
Speaking of new technology, I know that we're kind of going on a bit of a tangent here, but we did hit our main topics today. We just saw a printer that prints a plastic bead that is then ionized so that it picks up metal particulates while it 3D prints. So it basically does metal printing. It's using the very same process that we use to put a charge on a car and draw paint particulates onto the car. And we saw an example of a fractaled cube, roughly the size of a baseball, being stepped on by a woman, and it held her weight. It was really, really neat. So
something really cool that should be noted is that you should all go tell your friends about this project, because something I just noticed by looking over at the campaign there, the Terror Bird, I don't know if it's this sculpt or I don't know which sculpt of the Terror Bird unlocked, but we hit 4,500. The Terror Bird is unlocked. It's a stretch goal.
Sorry, I'm over here talking to muted.
In the form of the bird?
Yeah, the Terror Bird is unlocked. So, yeah.
So the bird is coming.
If you want more train.
If you want more train, you got to share more times.
There you go, the train and the various train pieces.
I don't think we've unlocked the full train, have we?
I don't know what we have unlocked.
I don't think so.
I should know these things. I know we have unlocked the share it on all share it everywhere. I encourage you to go get a soapbox, stand on a street corner, and yell about it. Say, hey, hey world! There's these guys that are making 3D printable dinosaurs. Go back them on Kickstarter.
Can we see the train photos again?
Yeah, I'm a weirdo.
I also hear that smoke signals are also a great way to share ideas.
But seriously, you have no idea how excited I am about this. 10-year-old Doug is just constantly just doing this little dance inside of me, because I'm making dinosaurs. I'm making dinosaurs, and I'm putting them out there to the world, and you are all excited about our dinosaurs. How cool is that? Seriously. Eric, how cool is that?
This is what I have to work with.
Chris, how cool is that? Come on.
It is amazing.
It is
and
cool,
also, I would
man.
like to say that we're at 104 backers.
We are at 104 backers.
Oh,
honestly, this has been an amazing Kickstarter. We've had a lot of feedback, a lot of interest, a lot of people talking about all the content. I mean, the most fun part for me is making the content and then having somebody print it and share it and mod it or talk about it or paint it. I really do enjoy, being able to show and make things. I mean, this is just sort of, how I really get a chance to do stuff for tabletop gaming.
Yes. And Sebastian was kind enough to share us a link down here in the bottom, so you can double check it.
So we have 100 backers. So that means we have the jail car unlocked, which I have here, the hollow version. We also have a solid version, but the hollow version, which I think is really cool, because you know what? Sid and Hammer Time have been naughty.
So now they go in the box.
And now
they go in the box.
They go in the box and go to jail because they've been bad. They know what they did.
And we're not allowed to talk about it anymore.
We're not allowed to talk anymore.
So one of the next social goals. So 50 Facebook shares, and we get this. I love this thing.
This cart is actually really, really cool.
Is that the barrel cart?
That's the barrel cart. That's the one right there in the images. It shows really, really nicely. It's completely supportless. Oh, that's right. We're still offering a free dinosaur on the mailing list.
Oh yeah, free dinosaurs.
Doug's like, yay, a dinosaur!
So one of the dinosaurs that we very first started doing was the duckbill, which was it's the hardest name to say so far.
Parasaurolophus.
Parasaurolophus.
We've been practicing.
We refer to him as Beefcake because he's a big boy. You can get that.
Basically a giant water cow.
You can get that file after the Kickstarter if you sign up for the mailing list. It's a free model. It is big. It is gorgeous. It's a lot of fun to look at. It's got lots of texture. It's got a great pose. Beefcake.
Yeah, yes, Ian. That is what we were inspired by.
There's a lot of fun working with these guys. There's a lot of joking. There's a lot of really cool things that are happening. We really are. I'm really lucky that everybody wanted to come together and participate with me on this on our venture here.
Yeah, big cake.
Yeah, because for almost 2 years, it's just been me and James, and now I've got a bunch of other great artists and/or people working with us to help make this stuff happen in a better way, in a more efficient way.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like I'm doing it alone.
Well, at this point, we have a team.
Same by comparison.
I was going to say, at this point, we've got a team and a unit, and everybody's kind of working together to help create the highest quality that we possibly can. And everybody in here adds completely different skill sets. We've got quite a bit of overlap, but everybody brings something unique to the table that helps us with being able to make the best possible product. From concept art to creature design to hard surface to advertising to all the stuff that goes in behind the scenes for these. There's a lot of stuff before we get to the finished product that it takes a team of people to do it. And there's Beefcake.
There's Beefcake.
So Beefcake is next to Sid, and he's huge.
This is the free model. If you sign up for the mailing list, this is the free model. This model does come with, I think, four types of gear. He comes with a basic armored version. He comes with an armored version that has weapons platforms on it.
Yeah, he's basically a mobile turret. That's on either side. It's pretty cool.
That one was fun to make.
Yeah, that was a cool idea. I'm glad we all had that. It was a harebrained thing where like 3 o'clock in the morning where everything sounds good kind of moment where everybody's like, yeah, we should do that. Wait, how do we do that?
And the turrets move.
And here's the hard part for me. I sculpted this model and I let Chris and Doug run absolutely wild with it. And there were times where I was like, that's not what I want. But they're having too much fun, so I'm not going to go and hose them down about it.
We're going to Lego some cool stuff on this dinosaur.
Dude, he's got this big old blade on his head.
And what they came up with, I'm really proud of the work that they did, because it allows me to focus on the next dinosaur, and or the next pose, and or fixing the next thing on the project to get out the door while they work on that. I mean, they did ask me for help on a couple of things because we're a team and everybody's voice gets heard with us. Go Team Venture. But yes, but I mean, this was really cool. And I want to mention something. You guys can't see it in this, but this model got the three of us thinking very specifically about dinosaur footprints, because we made, I use a technique to create a footprint in the base so the model will stand, once it's glued down or pin set, it'll stand nicely on that base. So we're actually talking about, how would we make dinosaur tracks, We didn't really get around to playing with that just yet, but it is one of those concept ideas that happens when you make a cool dinosaur like this. So effectively, if you pin set this and you didn't mar the surface too much, you can pick that dinosaur up and put it aside, and the base will have at least one set of footprints in
set
it.
of terrain.
Yeah.
There was a Triceratops up for a second. It looked like a full turnaround of the walk pose.
Yeah, I gotta tell you yeah. So this is Beefcake with his rider gear. It's a little bit hard to see, but he's got a saddle right in front of the gear. So one of our dino riders, when we get around to making those, it's going to go on top of that. And he's got this pack of gear. It is evenly set on both sides because we put a barrel on both sides. But if you had to track through some really rough terrain or even some marshy terrain, we expect that this guy would do a good job of moving your party supplies.
It's gear cake.
Gear cake.
So really quickly, Doug with our Chris's and my help designed most of that gear content. Oh, this is the weapons platform.
Okay, here's the turret.
Oh, this one's ridiculous.
Do you guys want to talk about this for a second? Go ahead.
Yeah, we were initially thinking because it was one of those 3 o'clock in the morning where every idea sounds amazing kind of times, and we're both sitting there. We're like, but what
hold my beer.
But what if he had las cannons on the side of it? But not las cannons. Let's put ballistas. Because we made ballistas. We're like, let's use the ballistas again. So we messed with putting a huge ballista on top. We messed with a bunch of different things, a bunch of different options. There was initially, it was like he was literally moving like a siege tower, basically, with a ballista on the top of it, kind of designs going on. And we eventually settled on the side ballistas. And these are really cool because Doug went in there and made sure that they fit size-wise with our little pin set sliders. So those will actually rotate, which is super awesome.
And it will fit a model on what size base? Yeah, he's on a third. Yeah. Sid, one of our little guys, is on a 30 millimeter base, so it'll fit on there. Yes. I'm glad you're excited about that, Ian, because this was a delightfully ridiculous thing to make, and yes,
it was super fun. It was literally like 10-year-old Doug and 4-year-old Chris were going, dinosaurs with guns.
Oh my gosh.
Our other motto over at Worlds Overrun, other than elevate your gaming, is go big or go home.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of go big or go home, there is a big old boy.
Yeah, do we have images for the Apatosaurus? The beer cake, the beer.
Oh, that's right.
There's some of them somewhere.
The beer transporter.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is an Apatosaurus basically with a large number of barrels, which you can put whatever you want to into them, but we just kicked it around that he's basically a mobile brewery.
Bigger cake? Oh, this is it's cream soda for the kitties.
I was hoping I'm hoping we have the image, but what ended up happening is our sauropod is so big, and we're trying to figure out how it would carry gear around. And Doug and I were having a conversation, and we're like, what if we put bandoliers holding beer casks moving across the Sahara?
Version,
yeah, this is the armored version.
He's basically a moving tower at this point because he's got what's essentially a giant Roman kite shield shape going on across all these things. And it looks really cool because when you get in close to that, I think the shields and stuff that he uses on the legs are large enough that they would actually work as a shield on a standard 28 millimeter character, which is hilarious. He's like, this is my ankle bracelet.
This is my ankle bracelet.
Roman cake. Yeah, Roman cake. Mm-hmm. Glad you like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we may not have a render of
I was going to say, you can't really tell from the helmet on this one, but it does have a double fin on the top. It's really kind of a unique, cool design. It's not actually just like one fin down the middle. It kind of goes off on either side. and spreads out. It's very interesting and very different from a lot of the other dinosaur designs that I've seen on some other stuff.
Yeah, that one was fun. The creation process on that was a lot of fun. I was working on the armor, and Eric said to me, "Yondu from Guardians of the Galaxy." So I made it, but when I made it, I accidentally made it so it was two of them, and like that. We're going with
double mohawk.
Oh, no render of beer.
Yeah, we don't have a render of the beer one currently.
We'll have this for you all soon.
Just to give you guys an idea of what it looks like, if you look underneath the howdah, between the howdah and the body plates, there are beer casks that we stuck into that model because there was a lot of empty space there and it felt really awkward. But we also were talking about this animal needs to carry a certain amount of food with it for its handlers and for itself. So we figured that barrels would be a good place to start. So this model does come with 8 attached vessels or barrels.
We have a lot of barrels. We got dinos everywhere.
Barrels are a really great object for carrying anything that you want that's liquid or grain-like. It's just a really great protective container. So yeah. Plus, they fit in better places. They can fit in a lot of places that crates really can't. They seem to hold up to a lot more abuse generally.
Good things come in barrels.
Good things come in barrels.
Like mead.
Ooh.
Mead is a good thing.
Don't get me started.
Later.
All right. We've checked off our big notes. I do want to reiterate. We do have about 4 other team members that are not with us tonight. Sharon Murphy-Bosky, James McCann, my business partner and my best friend, who's worked on this with me since the beginning. Sebastian Duran, who's one of our new associates, and Lee Wanika Miller, who is our D&D specialist and one of our co-writers. We really do have an extraordinary team pulling all this stuff together. Everybody's got different jobs, but like Chris said, there's a lot of overlap. Everybody's got to wear multiple hats. It's not just I make all the models kind of thing.
I have a lot of hats.
Chris has got a lot of hats.
I got a lot of hats.
But yeah, that's the team, and that's the World Overrun team for the most part. We do have some supporting players, like our friends Kevin Rank and Danny, and I'm forgetting somebody. Jeremy is always helping with us. We've actually done some collaboration. Gilbert Mondragon, who's actually showed up tonight, he actually helps me. He talks to me about painting and stuff. He's a good friend of ours, good friend of the project. Did I miss anybody else?
There are an enormous amount of people that we collaborate with in addition to those. And although we may not have said your name, that we love you.
So I'm going to do the PBS thing. And viewers like you.
There you go. Hey, look, that is beard love right there. I'm using my beard to make that heart.
That's a black heart. Black because it's dead inside.
No,
anyway,
just because the hair's still dark.
starting to show up with some gray.
I'm going to try to catch up to Doug.
I come by it naturally.
Yeah. I bet you do. Definitely not Maybelline. Hey, there's
Lee Wanika, and there's a photo of his son from when his son was a little guy. He is not that young.
Lee Wanika is the Wunderkind.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy.
Do you guys want to add anything else before we close up?
Say goodnight, Gracie.
Say goodnight, Gracie. Good night, Gracie. And we are out of here.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yes.
Thank you. Back to Patreon. Tell your friends.
Tell everybody and share it.
Mountaintop. Dinosaurs.